Welcome to Glad Tidings with me, James Macquarie.
And me, Ben Wynn. This is the show in where we discuss the progress we've made in the last couple of weeks, us and the amazing Glad community towards cleaning up the mess we've made of our atmosphere.
We've got some exciting topics coming up. What are we talking about, Ben, today?
Well, we've got some brilliant feedback, some amazing feedback from people that you and I have been speaking with, which is really helping shape how we build this thing and how we take it forwards, which is good. And you and I and lots of people we've engaged have been going deep on a really kind of deep and meaningful question. Should we be a charity? So we're going to talk about that and share with everybody our findings, our learnings and our decisions. And off the back of that, we're going to talk about what it means to be a Glad member, what you get, what the goodie bag is that you get for being a member. And of course, give everyone an update on where we are with our Totaliser, how much impact we've had so far in season 1.
Yes, we're teasing you with that. You have to listen right to the end to find out. But before we do that, as Ben mentioned, we've been getting loads of really, really good feedback from people over the last couple of weeks. So I've mentioned a few times now on previous episodes that I'm spending a lot of time doing research calls with people and having chats with people to understand their views on climate change, understand their actions that they're taking to address climate change and the things that they would like to do, their kind of aspirations around it as well. And it's been fantastic. So I must say massive thank you to everybody who's taken the time or shared their time with me to have those conversations. I really, really appreciate it. And so far, we've learned a lot of the things that we already knew. We've confirmed what we were thinking, which is fantastic. And we've learned a few new things as well. So the kind of highlight summary is people really are worried about climate change. It is something that they think about like daily. Some people think about it all night and don't get much sleep as a result. And people do genuinely want to take action and struggle to do so sometimes. And they're not entirely sure what they can do or how they can do it. So lots of lessons there we can take away and improve our offering as a result. I just wanted to give you some quotes from people. Direct one from someone: "You have my vote. I'm in. I want to get involved in this. So thank you. Please add me or let me know how I can join." And another one which we hear a lot is something I'm really, really passionate about. So there's a real kind of emotional and passionate feeling out there amongst people that they want to do something. So we believe that we're onto something with what we're trying to do with the community. But it has raised some questions about how we execute what we're doing with the community. And you're going to talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, so I just want to echo the thank you, really, because obviously you've been having conversations with people. I have too, and it's tapping into our network and people we're connected with, and I just want to echo those thanks. When you receive pages and pages of notes, you could take that really negatively and go, gosh, we're not doing anything right. But I just look at it as going, thank you for committing the time. So to everyone that's helped, that's in my network as well, just sharing that gratitude really. And one of the things that came through in the last 2 weeks has been a sentiment that we felt we really needed to address, where some people have said, I like what you're doing, but this feels to me like it should be a charity. It feels like other charities that I give to, or maybe they've expressed it a different way. I don't think we're going to give to you because my charity giving is already maxed out. I'm already doing X, Y, and Z. And what became the insight from that really is this: how are we communicating ourselves? Why do they perceive it that it needs to be a charity? Should this be a charity? And we revisited a question that we'd asked ourselves quite some time ago. I think it's probably safe to say we went quite deep on that this week, James. Hey,
Yes.
So let's bring it out. Let's get it out in the open. Let's talk about it. Should we be a charity or not? So let's start with benefits of being a charity, and there are lots. I mean, it's the de facto model for things like this. Really, we shouldn't shy away from it. There are some really big, really well-run charities out there that do all sorts of different things for different causes. And it's the model that people are, I guess, mostly familiar with. It's that kind of altruistic, I put money in a pot, I trust the charity is run by a trust, and I get that kind of warm, fuzzy feeling of I'm doing good because I'm chipping in, and then you expect the charity to deploy the funds. So it's an expected model, it's a good thing. There are other good things, particularly with in the UK. Glad is operating in the UK. We have members now globally, but our ambitions are global, but we are headquartered here in the UK. And within the UK tax structure, we have a thing called gift aid, which basically is a way of getting more out of the government from whatever you chip into a charity. And that, of course, is a really good thing. And similarly, if you're a registered charity, then you can become grant funded. And that's a great thing because there's lots of different grants that are out there. And then as a charity, you can tap into those. And that it is a model that we could definitely pursue. But not really as a spoiler, because I think it's been coming across just as we said the last 2 minutes. We've decided not to be a charity. We decided a while ago, we've revisited it. But what we've taken the opportunity to do is think, why did we decide that in the first place? Is it still the right decision? Why was it coming across like we should be a charity to certain pockets of the community? And what do we do about it, basically? And the first reason we decided not to be is still that point of funding. Because there are some real downsides with being a charity that we feel are counterproductive or counter-impactful, I'm not sure that's even English, for delivering the impact that we want. Because the problem with being a charity is you're always reliant upon philanthropic funding in order to actually exist as an organization. So there are some charities out there that are able to say 100% of what's contributed or donated by the public, by their members, goes to the pot. But the only way in which they can do that is if they have the support of philanthropists that will cover all of their operating costs. The normal model for charity is you put money in the pot and then a percentage of that goes to the good cause, whatever cause that is, and everything else is left to run the organization itself. And when you're reliant on philanthropic funding, the problem is that's what you spend your time doing because that's your livelihood. That's how you keep the charity running. And so if you've got a decision to make and you're sat in your chair and you're going, right, I really, really want to focus on whatever my form of impact is. Obviously, in our case, it's cleaning up the atmosphere. And I should be doing everything I can to do that. But I've got to keep the lights on. So I've got to actually go out and chase funding, get some money into this organization. Then you've taken your eye off the ball of delivering impact. And so for that reason alone, we think it has less impact. And of course, there's a decision. It's if you get more people putting money in and that delivers more impact because of the mechanism of it being a charity, that could be a good thing. But we're just well aware, having run startups and different organizations, just how much money it takes to keep a business running at scale. And I guess the reality is we just don't have some billionaires in our pocket that could act as our philanthropists right now.
Yeah, I think it's worth highlighting that the lens through which we've had these discussions, and this isn't the first time we've talked about this, as you've alluded to, the lens through which we think about this is the scale and the size of the impact that we can have. And so we're always trying to maximize that as best we can. And we're still, having discussed this, we've come to the conclusion that actually being a business, a for-profit business, we believe gives us the best opportunity to have the biggest impact. Another reason that we've decided a for-profit business is probably the best route for us right now is that we've spoken with a handful of people who've worked at charities, who've fundraised for charities and have distributed those funds for charities. And we've consistently heard, and this isn't true for every charity, but it feels like it's the norm, that charities rightly become very adverse as organizations. There's very strict governance over how they operate, and that drives a culture of not taking big risks and not being overly innovative and not being entrepreneurial. And we believe that as a business, we need to, and in fact, just to grow Glad to the size that we need it to be to address this problem, we need to be innovative. We need to have that kind of entrepreneurial startup, scale up mindset as we grow. And yeah, we don't want to be risk adverse. We want to be able to take risks to grow this. And that ties into the scale. The climate crisis is massive. It's a global problem. it's huge. We're going to need many, many different ways of solving this, and we need to support as many of those ways of solving this problem as possible. And to do that, we want Glad to be a true global operation, a true global community of people working on this. And when we look at the handful of charities that are around that have grown globally, pales into insignificance compared to the number of businesses that have grown globally. So we think, again, in order to get to the global scale that we need, we think being a for-profit business is our best chance of doing that.
Yep, absolutely. So let's just revisit that point of we're all about impact. That's what our North Star is. That's how we measure our success. It's our one key metric. Just on that point, what we mean by that is if the way in which we assess how well we're doing as a business is in impact, which is greenhouse gas removed out of the atmosphere. That's what our North Star is. Just in the same way that WhatsApp has a North Star of messages sent, because that's what it's all about. And so if more people are sending messages, it must mean people are on the platform more, there are more people, etc. Just having that single metric is really, really helpful. So how do we maximize impact? Well, to do that, we're going to have to build the very best thing that people want to join. We're going to have to build the biggest community. We're going to have to reach as many people as possible. We're going to have to make it as attractive for them as possible, have the best technology, the best products. To do that, we need really good talent, just as you do in any organization. And that becomes a problem if you're a charity, because to get really good talent, you've got to pay them. And if you're a charity where the money isn't yours as the organization, it's kind of the trusts, it's for impact, it's for whatever your good cause is, then the trustees of that charity, their duty is to put a cap on remuneration. The amount of money you can put to the team gets capped. And it kind of is a self-defeating prophecy in that you cap it because you don't want to spend the money, because if you spend the money, then that's not going to the good cause. But by capping it, it suppresses the amount you can pay the staff, which means generally, broad rule of thumb, because there are some amazing people that work at charities, we should call that out. It generally means you get not as good talent, which means you go a little bit slower, which means you don't have as much impact. And it's a kind of downward spiral. And it's what a lot of people within charities have told us is a real problem. So let's not bake ourselves into that corner. Let's hold ourselves to account and let's keep that North Star of being impact. This is not about overpaying the team. It's about making sure that we have the greatest impact.
Absolutely. And I just want to highlight in there that it's our one key metric and not a wonky metric, as it might have come across there as we were talking.
Yes, let's get some AI transcripts and probably spell check that, I think. But yes. But there is another reason, which is what we kind of call the ethical argument to ourselves. Why on earth should it need to be a charity to clean up the mess? That for us is not the driver. It's not the primary reason why we choose not to be a charity. But there is definitely something about, we've operated, I guess, since the Industrial Revolution with organizations that have just pumped gas up into the atmosphere without any recompense. And yes, they should all be doing more to remove the mess. But why should we think that it should be charity that cleans that up? That to me doesn't make sense. What I think we need to do is use capitalism as a model to fix the problems caused by capitalism. And there's a kind of, a driver or a belief that we can actually prove that we can use capitalism as a positive force for good here, which we'd also just love to be able to prove, I guess.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think one thing to add to that is we think of this through the Jeff Bezos decision-making methodology of, is it a one-way door or a reversible door decision? So for anyone not familiar with that, when you're making a decision, is it something that once you've made it, you have to stick with and there's no backing out of? Or is it something that you can make, see if it works or not, and then reverse and come back out of that decision and try something differently? And we see this very much as a one-way door decision to be a charity. So if we were to go down that route, we couldn't become a charity, find out it's not working for us for all the reasons that we've listed there, and then change our minds again and make it a for-profit business again. As a for-profit business, there is an opportunity in the future where, if circumstances are correct, we could create the climate pot as a charitable organisation or something along those lines. So there is an option for us to revisit this in the future and come to a different conclusion potentially. But right now, it certainly feels to us like being a for-profit business is the right conclusion. And we got to that conversation because we were getting feedback from the people we've spoken with along the lines of, so we've been very careful to talk about when you join the community, you make a contribution to fixing climate change. And the language that we were getting back from people was, oh, it's a donation that I'm making to fix climate change. And that made us realize that we were using the wrong terminology. We're not explaining ourselves right or well enough when it comes to explaining what the community is. And that we weren't answering the question of what's in it for me. What is this value exchange that you're getting by taking part and being a member of the community? And people were clearly viewing it as a one-way exchange. I give you money and then it disappears and I don't get very much in return other than some warm, fuzzy feeling of knowing that I've done some good. So we are switching from a contribution model to a membership model. The idea being that members will pay a membership fee for each season that they are a part of the GLAD Climate Cleanup community. In exchange for their membership, they get an impact record that shows how much impact they've had since joining, and it accumulates over time, showing how much greenhouse gas has been removed thanks to their membership. They get a digital badge that they can put on their social media, they can put on their website, and they can show the world what impact they're having. And it's not just a badge that says GLAD, it's a badge that is live and updates and shows what impact they're having cumulatively over time. So they can tell the world about how all the good that they're doing. And you will be able to, as a member, vote on how each season's climate pot is deployed. So we as a team and our advisors will pre-vet which suppliers and solutions and methods of greenhouse gas removal are potentially going to be backed in each season. And then our community will be able to influence where the funds go each season by season. So we get that involvement from the community and they get to influence how the impact is delivered. We'll also be sharing exclusive insights, so everybody can access this podcast and hear the behind the scenes of what we're doing and how we're doing it. But there will be exclusive content available for members, which the intention is video, photos, blog posts, etc., from the people on the ground delivering the impact that our members are facilitating. So you get to see where these methods are being deployed, how they're being deployed, the lives that those deployments affect in terms of job creation and improving agricultural land, so farmers get better yields from their crops, etc. And as always, we're very open to feedback from our members. So if you've got strong opinions or ideas about what could be bundled up into our membership, please let us know.
Yeah, 100%. It's we are very much at the early stages of this. So what James has just run through there is kind of our best foot forwards. It's what we're starting with. But as we envisage it, this membership will build over time, and it won't be us coming up with that. It's you guys, it's the community. So, tell us, get involved, tell us what you want. And of course, that's already happened because if you've been paying attention, we asked for feedback. They told us what they wanted. We're giving them what they wanted. It is exactly what you're after. Therefore, we want to do more of that. So next steps on this are for us to actually get that out into the wild. And next week, we're launching another version of the website, which has changed all of that messaging. Where GLAD is a membership. It is different language. And we've changed the way in which we are communicating that value exchange, which is kind of real, I guess, business speak for just making sure that we put the right stuff into the website. It's really, really hard. James and I have been doing that for a long time, and it's a lot easier when you're doing it for a third party, for a client or something. But when you're doing it for yourselves, it's often quite hard. So by doing this, getting feedback from the community, making regular updates is the way we're going to be doing this. And so this won't be the first time you hear a new version of the website, but we've got one coming out shiny new next week. So excited about that.
Very excited. We clarify. I think that's the philosophy here. Put it out, get feedback, understand where it's not as clear as it could be, and update accordingly.
And speaking of updates, what we need to do is just provide a quick update on where we are with our Totaliser, the amount of impact so far. So very quick reminder, we're season 1. Season 1 started a couple of weeks ago in January. We are now in the first week of February, and we're at just shy of 13,000 kilograms of greenhouse gas that will be removed when it gets deployed at the end of the season. So the end of the season is the end of March, and we will deploy it at that point, and then the greenhouse gas will be sequestered over time. So 13,000 kilograms is where we're at so far.
Very exciting. So thank you to everybody who's joined and signed up and become part of our community so far. And let's keep going.
Absolutely.
So we are about 20 minutes today, which is a little bit longer than our intended 10. So apologies for everybody listening and watching, expecting it to be shorter. We will tighten this up over time. But before we go, we have an ask. And the ask is, please get involved. Help us make this community thrive and grow and get to the scale that we were talking about needing to get to. And there are 3 ways that you can help us do that. So the first way is join us. Go to gladclimate.com, sign up, become a member, take part in this community and help us have a bigger impact. The second thing that you can do is to tell that one friend or family member or colleague who you know would want to get involved in this, that one person you know who is super passionate about doing their part in trying to fix climate change. Tell them all about us. Send them to the website, gladclimate.com again, and let them know that we exist. And then the third thing that you can do, if you're listening to this or watching it, thank you. Please subscribe. Follow us on whichever platform that you're using to access this content. Subscribe so you don't miss future episodes, and follow us on Instagram and LinkedIn as well, if you're there.
That's great. Very good. Thank you, James. Until next time.
Thank you, Ben. See you all soon.